All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Charles with the Exodus Logistics Learning Center, Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners. Today is Saturday, October 15th, 2022. It is 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So another edition of the Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners. I'd like to open it up for some questions. I see Ashley has one here. Question on these broker ratings on the DAT board. Can't see ratings on 1, 2, 3. So some load boards have credit scores and credit ratings, so the DAT boards have them. I believe 1, 2, 3 does have them. Ashley, let's open up 1, 2, 3 and see. I'm on my laptop here, so I got to make sure that I got my right login for the 1, 2, 3 load board, if I remember it correctly. And let me check out my logins real quick on my back office here on the login, load board logins. Let's see. Someone says it does, so let's check out 1, 2, 3. Close that. Open up that. Give me 1 second, because I have logins everywhere. Okay, so Facebook 101. Let's go back to share. Can you guys see the 1, 2, 3 load board? Okay, so to answer Ms. Culler's question, yes, most load boards require a MC number for logins. We share ours. 1, 2, 3 load board is one of the ones. If you take advantage of the promotion that we have through our website, you can log in. You can sign up for a 30-day trial without having to have an MC number as a dispatcher. So let's sign into this one here. And because I took the screenshot, but I don't want anybody to see a lot of stuff. So, but give me 1 second and I'll bring it back once I log in. Okay. Okay, so there we go. So now 1, 2, 3 load board. This load board, again, if you go through the portal, the members portal, you should be able to go under load boards. And if you scroll down right here, the promo offer. 1, 2, 3 load board, a free 30-day affiliate link where you can sign up with the promo code 48,000 without having, because we've partnered with them, so without having the requirement of having an MC number, you can do it without it. You get 30 days for free, and then you are able to join it afterwards. Yes, Yvonne Sia says she signed up with it already. So we got plenty of people in here that are signed up with that free version, and then decide after 30 days of free access, you still be able to sign up without an MC number. You just got to pay for your subscription, $35, $45, $55 a month subscription. I recommend the $55 one, which is the premium. But getting back to that question, the load board question, you can't see my screen. Let's share that 1, 2, 3 load board screen. You guys can't see this screen either, what I just shared. There, you can't see the promo screen. Okay, there you go. You can, okay. So if this is in our back office under module 2, where you access the load boards that we give you access to. And then, so we're having, speaking of which, we're having an issue with Truckers Path. I'm gonna end up taking that down and replacing it with something else, just so you guys know, okay? The purpose of the load boards is to give you guys real world practice on how to navigate it, get the user experience down, and be able to use it to book loads for your carriers. Okay. You are looking at the premium version on my screen right here. Okay. This is the premium version. It says so right there, premium. See where it says premium? And it'll tell you which version you have. Okay. So now you go under find loads. So the question here was about showing the credit score and the credit ratings of the brokers if they decide to list that. So let's see. The person who asked that question was Ashley. Ashley, where are you? What major city are you located? Let's find you a load, or let's pretend to find you a load, I should say. If you have a carrier, we can find you a load, but let's pretend to find you a load out of your area. Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, so you're from the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. I used to live in Charlotte. I think I mentioned that before. So I used to stay off of Freedom and Tuckasegee. You know where that's at, over there in the Bahamas. So let's say pickup, we'll say pickup location. We'll say Charlotte. North Carolina. Okay. The radius, or what's another word for radius, guys? Deadhead. You left a D off, but I get it. Deadhead. Right. Dropping off. We'll take this up. We'll just say anywhere. Okay. Pickup date, any. Ashley, give me an equipment type. What equipment type would you want to use for this example? We can say any, or we can just say whichever one you want. Any. Okay, cool. We'll go with any. Okay. And we'll apply that. And then we can put some more filter. Well, if we have any, then we don't know what the filters are for our equipment type. So we'll just leave that as is, okay? And then we're going to hit search. Okay, she said, well, the top three. Okay, so the top three, we'll go back up to that then. So equipment type, trailer type, we're going to say, and what are the top three, Ashley? What are the top three equipment types that we recommend?
The flatbed, reefer, and the van.
Got it. Okay, very good. All right, so we're gonna hit apply for those three. Go from there, and then we'll hit search. Okay. So now we have these results. Okay. And you notice some of them have rates posted, some of them don't. So what I do, if I want to see if any brokers actually posted their rates on the load boards, right? And you want to see that, you click the column, which is the rate column that you're looking to get data from. So you click that, and it'll push to the top in numerical order all the rates that are posted. See what I just did? I clicked it and it pushed it up to the top. Okay. You guys follow what I did there? And if you also notice, it shows under the rates, it shows the actual cents per mile. The cents per mile where it factored in the number of miles, or the rate divided by the number of miles. So in this case, 4,100 divided by 2,082 miles. Okay. That gives you $1.97. But what we're looking for is anything that's showing the credit rating or the credit score of the broker in 123 load board. So let's click one just to see. Okay, let's click this first one. So now it's in this information, it's showing data about Epi's Logistics. They're the brokerage who has this load going from Concord, North Carolina, which is 17 miles deadhead to Charlotte, and it's going to Buckeye, Arizona. Okay. Now under company, so right here where it says under company, where it says credit rating, so it has a score and a rating. So it shows their credit score and their credit rating. So Ashley, I think you asked a question about 123 load board not showing that. Some of the postings show it, others do not. But this one, this load posting showed. So this brokerage, which is Logistics, I believe it was, the company, showed a credit score of 97. Is that a good credit score for a freight broker?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And their days to pay, when it says days to pay, what that is it's assuming if you are a dispatcher dispatching for your carrier, and you don't have factoring, and you're using the payment options of the freight broker. The broker has a term of up to 30 days to pay that term. Okay, 30 days credit score. 30 days to pay. So that's what that means. So now, what is not a good credit score for a broker? Anything, I would say 80 and below in some cases, sometimes 87 or 85. So, okay. So that's the credit score. Now the credit rating is, and the credit score, they've gotten it from TransCredit. TransCredit is one of the 3 credit reporting bureaus on the business side, okay? So on the personal side, you have the credit bureaus on the personal side, you have Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What about on the business side? You have TransCredit, Ansonia, and one called D&B, Dun & Bradstreet, right? Have you guys heard of these?
Yep. I heard
Okay.
of Dun & Brad's and TransCredit.
Right. So most of the business credit reporting is from Dun & Bradstreet, because that's the most one that everybody commonly uses, right? But there are others. And if I were you, if you were entertaining for your business to establish business credit, look into the other ones, get as much information for all 3, and decide which one of the 3 offers the best for what your requirements are. Okay, just like you do for your personal side, when you see which one offers the best for your personal side, your Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, right? Equifax, I'm sorry. Okay, but to answer Ashley's question, these are the credit scores and credit rates. So now credit rating, like A, B, C, D, brokers have ratings also. They have scores based off of their behavior as a broker, and they have ratings based off their behavior as a broker. Now, before I go into the ratings, let me explain why this is important from a dispatcher's perspective, because you may not think this is important from a dispatcher's perspective, but it actually is, because if you're going to be dispatching loads for your carrier, would it not make sense to do it with brokers who are reputable in the areas that they are judged by, their credit scores and their credit ratings? It makes your life so much easier. It makes your carrier's life so much easier as a dispatcher. Now, most dispatchers they may overlook these factors, but these are actually important, because if you got a broker who has a red flag of not paying on time, or who has a red flag of trying to underbid loads or not give you enough money or what the load is worth, then that's the case. So, okay, but the credit score, A, B, C, those letters. So an A rating, of course, is the best. So is a B. brokers have what's called an I is in Isaac rating. That means there's a lot of incomplete data about that broker. They didn't give enough information about their brokerage for a trucking company or a shipper to determine whether or not they want to work with them. And then there's an N as in Nancy rating to determine. The N rating says that they are brand new. In other words, they are a new broker. Their broker operating authority is a year or less in age, okay? So as a dispatcher, you might want to keep this in the back of your mind when you are trying to book loads for a broker, because you want to provide the best service to your carriers as possible, right? So you want to find the best loads with the best brokers using the data that's provided for you, sometimes in the load boards or other times in other places. Okay, so hopefully that helped you, your question there, Ashley.
Hey, Charles.
Yes.
Hey, sir. So if you get with a broker, and you know how you just said it, they have the option of 30 days to pay. Is it smarter for that carrier to already have a factoring company in place so he wouldn't have to wait that long? I'm not saying it's going to be the exact 30 days, but somewhere between day 1 and day 30, you get paid. So you're not guessing when you're going to get paid. Should he either have factoring already set up, or is the 30 days to pay only one option that's listed?
So great question. So when you're dealing with the days to pay with the broker, 30 days to pay, so on and so forth, that is one of the payment options of the broker. Brokers have 3 payment options, right? Commonly, but there are more. 3 payment options. The first one is what's called quick pay, because remember,
Right.
brokers use factoring companies also.
Every last one of them?
We can't say every last. I would say most brokered loads are factored loads.
Okay.
Okay. So I would say for most of them, I can't say all of them because I don't know, but most of them do. Especially if you want to keep those carriers running and keep them paid so they can run your loads mostly, then you pay them up front to move those loads so that they can keep moving more loads for you. But at any rate, so brokers offer quick pay, which is they'll pay the carrier after they deliver that load 24 to 48 hours after delivery, after they turn in the paperwork, the PODs, which is the BOLs, the signed BOLs, and they'll charge a service for that up to 5%. Okay, then the next one is what's called an ACH transfer, wire transfer. They offer wire transfer of 5 to 7 days after delivery, and they'll charge up to 3% for that. It's called an ACH transfer. ACH stands for Automated Clearinghouse. Okay, right. And what they'll do is they'll require either a voided check when you're onboarding with a broker. They'll require either a voided check or a routing number and an account number of the account that the broker should wire the carrier to for payment. Okay, that's option number 2. Option number 3, and that's 3%, up to 3%. And then option number 3 is the paper check. That's free. That's mailed to the domicile residence of the carrier, wherever the address is listed for that carrier's operating authority. That's where that check will be mailed to. So those are the 3 options. But you made a good point about factoring. If a carrier has a factoring company, and let me ask you, what is your understanding or definition of a factoring company? How do you interpret that? What does that mean to you? What is a factoring company?
A factoring company is someone that basically takes on the amount to be paid. So he pays the carrier, and then they get their money from the broker.
Okay. Does anyone else want to add to that? And that's a good definition.
And also, the factory company would check the broker credit score before they deal with them.
Correct. So a factoring company is a what's called invoice factoring. Okay. They purchase the invoices or the receivables or the PODs of the carriers, and they charge for this service now. What they do is they'll give an upfront amount, let's say 90% of whatever that load paid, the gross amount of that load, let's say it paid $5,000. And let's say the factory company fronts, if you will, the carrier, let's say 90% of that up front for those invoices, because they're using the invoices as proof of delivery so that they can go back to the broker and recoup the rest of the money so that they can get their money for offering this factory service and give the rest of it to the carrier. So for example, $5,000, I'm a carrier, I delivered a load, $5,000, I turn the PODs or the proof of deliveries invoices into the factory company. They're going to wire me that same day or next day. They're going to wire me, let's say, depending on the factory company, let's say 90% of that $5,000. 90% of $5,000 is $4,500, right? 9 times 5 is 45, right? So they're gonna wire me 95 up front, and then they're gonna put in reserve the other 500 until they get the payment from the broker according to the broker's payment terms, that net 30, whatever the terms of payment. And then they're gonna release that remainder 5% or 10% minus their percentage for factoring. Okay, that's how factoring works. Now there's different types of factoring, invoice, non-invoice factoring, and things like that. We can get into that, but we'll be here all day, right? But that's how factoring works. So if a carrier has a factory company, then going back to Ashley's question, this credit score and credit rating, it goes out the door from the dispatcher and the carrier side, because the factory company is going to be doing the vetting of the broker. They're going to send what's called a credit application through either the dispatcher or directly from the carrier to the broker to run a credit check on the broker to see if the broker has any issues, right? Any red flags, whether any claims filed against the brokers for breach of contract, for non-payment. If the credit application comes back favorable for the broker, everything's good, that credit check was good, the broker's good, then the factory company will send what's called a notice of assignment to the broker saying, hey, we're the factory company, all invoices payable to our carrier are not going to be payable to us, the factory company, because the carrier is our client, we're taking over that relationship, and we're going to be paying the carrier, and then we'll get the rest of the money from you. This is an example of what a notice of assignment looks like. Okay. So this letter is intended to notify that you, as of the contract date, your invoice is payable to the client is the carrier. This is the fact. Remember, this is the factoring company sending the notice of assignment to the broker, letting them know that we're stepping in and taking over for our client. So that's why it's worded like this. Okay. So we're saying that all invoices that are payable to our client, the carrier, by you, the broker, is now payable to us because now we've stepped in and taken over for our client. Okay, that's how factoring works. All right, and it's a process, things of that nature. So, all right.
So Charles, as far as the factoring company goes, can a carrier be set up with more than one factoring company?
Not typically, no, because the terms and the contract in the when setting up a factoring company, there's a complete clause, there's an NDA clause, non-disclosed, and there's a complete. You can only have you should. I can't say no, but the idea is not to have more than one factoring company. If you're in a contract, and usually the terms of factoring is a year or so, right?
So if you have 7 Oaks and then the broker has, I don't know what another name of a factoring company is, but the broker has another factoring company, and you're trying to move his product, then you can't. So
you asked the question, can a carrier have more than one factoring company? And I said no, but now if you got a carrier who has a factoring company and a broker who factors, those are two different things, right?
Gotcha.
The broker is factoring the fact that they're sending out loads and having to have cash flow, because that's the purpose of factoring, to have cash flow in order to pay, in the case of a broker, in order to pay the carriers. In the case of the carriers, in order to be paid by either the broker or the factoring company, right? So, but if you said one carrier having two factoring companies, and then you said one carrier with a factoring company and one broker with a factoring company, that's fine. That happens all the time.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, that happens all the time. You have
Right.
a carrier, I'm a carrier, I have my factoring company, because I may take a load from a broker who factors their loads in order to continue to pay me to offer quick pay, right? Because the reason why a broker can offer you quick pay and ACH transfer is because they're using their factoring company for the ability to have that cash flow in order to offer you that service. That's why they're charging you that 5% or that 3%, because you're paying their factoring company in order to provide them the ability to offer you to pay you 24 to 48 hours or 5 to 7 days, whichever the case may be. But at any rate, if you got a broker who has factoring and a carrier who has factoring, here's another scenario too. Broker with factoring, carrier with factoring that you're dispatching for. Your carrier may say, hey, the broker's offering quick pay through their factoring company at, let's say, 2%. That'll never happen. It's more like 5%, but I'm just saying, let's say 2%. But my factoring is offering the ability to factor this invoice, these receivables at 3.5%. So the carrier is saying, well, let's not use my factoring and let's go with the broker's option to get money with their quick pay at 3% because I'm saving 2%. That happens all the time too. So they have a choice to, because just because your carrier has factoring doesn't mean that they are required to factor that invoice through their factoring company. They can turn down, they don't have to let the factoring company know that they have a load that they want to factor this invoice. They can just deal directly with the broker. You see, just because they have factoring, because the broker may offer a better percentage, a better rate for that service than your carrier's factoring company. So now the carrier has a choice to decide, right?
Got you.
So just because you have factoring on your carrier side, you're not obligated to, unless the factoring company says in their contract, which would be crazy because they'll never get customers. Why would you make it mandatory to you have to factor with us? You have to, every invoice you turn in, you have to factor with us. It's required that you use it with us. That'll be silly. They won't be in business very long. Right.
Okay.
So did I answer those questions? I want to make sure I'm answering questions. I don't want, I want to confuse everybody with that, but you guys understand that? Yes. Okay. So let's see what else you guys have in the chat. Let's see what's going on. Someone asked, so every time you find a load, you will send the broker's company name to your factory company for them to check their credit score or credit rating. How long does that take? No. So Beauty just asked a great question. It's not every time. So when you have a carrier who has a broker that you onboarded with, right? Your factoring company is going to do a credit check on that one broker that one time. And once it comes back favorable for that one specific broker, it's no longer needed for that specific broker. Now they're going to deal with broker after broker after broker. Every broker your carrier deals with or tries to factor with, your factoring company should offer the ability to run a credit score, credit check on that broker, right? So is that the NOA? So the NOA, Waukesha, comes after so here's the order of factoring, guys. First, a factoring company needs to vet a broker before they decide to factor those invoices. So the first step is the credit application. So you need to run a credit check on the broker to make sure that they are favorable for factoring and for that line of credit, so to speak, right? Once that comes back favorable, then the notice of assignment is issued because now that broker is favorable and the notice of assignment is issued saying, hey, you are a favorable broker. Now we're going to do all invoices payable. This letter is intended to notify you. Now, this is the factoring company. With a notice of assignment, the factoring company is communicating with the broker, saying that this letter is intended to notify you that as of whatever that contract date is, all your invoices payable to our client, the trucking company, the carrier, the owner operator, have been assigned. That's what the word notice of assignment, and transferred to us, the factoring company. Okay. How do we run the credit check? You do not run the credit check. The dispatcher doesn't run the credit check. The factory company runs the credit check. Okay. The credit application you get a copy of, if your carrier has a factoring company, then your carrier's factoring company should supply the carrier or you, the dispatcher, a blank copy of a credit application. Or some factoring companies offer a link to their portal where the carrier can just go in there and just download and fill out, or fill it out online, the credit application. Okay. But it's a relationship between the factory company and the carrier, the credit application. But remember, the important thing for dispatchers to remember is the process, the steps. The first step is a broker needs to be favorable first with a factoring company before the factoring company offers the carrier the ability to factor those invoices by that broker. So the first step in that process is that a credit application needs to be filled out and returned favorable. And then once that happens, step 2 comes in the process, making it official, the notice of assignment from the factory company to the broker in this case. There are several factory companies out there, TBS, Foley's. We have one, 7 Oaks. Monica does a great job. Do we send the credit application to the broker, or does the factory company do that? Either or. If you get a blank copy from your carrier of the credit application, and if the carrier's factory company allow you to do that, that's fine. Otherwise, the carrier's factory company can do it. That'll just save you an extra step. Okay, it'll save you an extra step.
But how will the carrier's factoring company know when to do it?
When you file a load for your carrier with the broker on a load board, and you're about to communicate with the broker to book that load for your carrier, that is when the process needs to start. Especially because the broker, when you're onboarding with a broker, when you're onboarding a load, or when you're onboarding means, guys, if you have a carrier and the MC number is given to the broker when you're calling about a load, and that carrier's MC number is not in that broker's system, then the carrier needs to fill out the necessary paperwork to get approved by that brokerage. That's called onboarding. It's called the broker carrier agreement. So if you got a carrier who's not already approved and set up with a brokerage, right, they have to go through the broker carrier agreement first to get approved and set up with that brokerage. When you're booking a load, the first step in the process of booking a load is the broker carrier agreement. The second step in the process of booking a load, after the broker carrier agreement and all the supporting documents by the carrier to the broker comes back favorable for the brokerage and approved, then it's the rate confirmation. The rate confirmation or the load confirmation by the broker for the carrier. Okay. So there's levels and processes to every step. There's a process and steps to getting a carrier set up with a brokerage for which a carrier is not set up with. And then there's steps for factoring. If your carrier is trying to get factoring approved by a broker that they're just getting set up with, then the process for your factoring company, if your carrier is going to use factoring for this specific brokerage, is to go through the credit application and then the notice of assignment. So credit application, notice of assignment with factoring, broker carrier agreement, rate confirmation when you are setting up your carrier with a broker. Okay.
Because what I don't understand is when they both have a factoring company, the carrier's factoring company trumps the broker's factoring company when booking loads. Okay.
No, not necessarily. No, it doesn't. The factory company that offers the best percentage for a specific load So if I'm a carrier, let's say you're booking loads for me, right? And my factory company, for whatever reason, charges 4%, which is kind of high. So factory company averages between 1.5% and about 5%. But let's say my factory company does 4%. The broker offers quick pay, but they offer it at 3%. So what's the better deal?
The broker.
The 3%. And especially if your brokers, I mean, if your factory company doesn't demand that you factor every load with them. If they say, hey, it's not required that you invoice factor with us. If you do invoice factor with us, it's 3% or it's 4% or whatever that is.
Okay.
So
thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
So let me go through some questions here. If we send the credit application to the broker, should they send it back to us or directly to so if you send the credit application to the broker from you, if you got a copy, if you happen to get a blank copy that your carrier sent you from their factoring company and he wants you to do all of that stuff as opposed to the factoring company doing it, which is possible. Chances are the factoring company does it most times, but if you happen to get to that point where you are doing it, that's fine. You send it to them. Once you send it to them on the credit application, they're going to, the form is going to have it submit directly to the factoring company, either email or fax. So then from there, once you send it, the factoring company takes it from there because on the form, it's going to have their email or their fax number for the information to get back directly to the factoring company. There's no point in wasting time sending it back to the dispatcher, that the dispatcher gets it to the carrier, then the carrier gets it to the factoring company. That's a waste of time. That's why on the form, it has the direct line to get back to the source so that they can make the determination whether or not this is a factorable broker to send a notice of assignment to. Okay. Let me go through here. Without a factory company, why the carrier don't get paid after they drop the load and after sending the bill? So without a factory company, Stu, so if the carrier doesn't have a factory company and the broker doesn't have a factory company, or if the carrier doesn't use quick pay or ACH, then the only option for the carrier is to get paid because the broker has to pay the carrier because that's who the agreement is with, the broker carrier agreement. They move the load for the broker pays them. They have to go with their net terms, net 30, net 45, whatever those terms are. That's how that works. After delivery, 30 days after delivery. Okay. Okay. And yes, there are videos back here about factoring. We go specifically into it, but it's good to hear this information as well. Okay. They are susceptible to the broker's rules and terms. Okay. Any other questions about that? Great questions, by the way. I like the questions. That's cool. Because you will come across this and you will need to have knowledge of this information because you don't want to send information to the wrong people in the wrong direction, things like that, which causes a delay in the process of you doing your dispatching, right? So, but let's circle back to the beginning process, right? Finding the loads, because we have some newer people in here as well, right? Finding loads, understanding the dispatch process, booking those loads, getting paid, invoicing the carriers, okay? So, are there times when a carrier refuses to pay the Of course. Are there times when a carrier refuses to pay a dispatcher since they're paid directly by brokers? What happens if such occurs? So you would need to structure your dispatcher agreement, if you will, in such a way to avoid that, but it's going to happen anyway. Carriers can refuse to pay you whether you have a contract in place or not. How you handle that legally is determined by how you structure your dispatcher agreement. What do you say in the dispatcher agreement for breach of contract? Because a carrier not paying you for your dispatching service after signing a dispatcher agreement is a breach of contract. Okay, that is a breach of contract. So how do you handle that? Do you handle it through small claims? Do you handle it by, now, of course, obviously not dispatching for them anymore. So that is the one thing that is the greatest unknown in this business. If you don't have a factoring company and if you don't have an affiliate type of relationship with a factoring company, whereby when the carrier gets paid, the factoring company pays you at the same time, then the greatest unknown is worrying about whether your carrier is going to pay you for booking a load for them. Now, if you are booking great loads and you're keeping their weekly gross at 8,000 to 10,000 or better, if I'm a carrier, why would I, in my right mind, not pay you? Right?
Yeah, and that's where the vetting come in and the credit rating and all of that. You have to pick your carriers correctly.
Right, and that's why I try to cover those things from the onset, those little things at the beginning. So when that does happen, right, the vetting. So you vet the carriers, and you make sure that they're good carriers. But the question becomes, well, when you're vetting a carrier for the very first time in the beginning, you can't tell, you can't know if they're good carriers. You gotta actually go through that experience of finding a load, booking a load, and trusting that first time that they pay you, right? Can you report the carrier for non-payment? If so, to whom? So you can, but it's going to be, you can go to the FMCSA, but the FMCSA is going to say, well, you got to take that to small claims, because the FMCSA mainly deals with safety. Okay. So you can go with, they can say, okay, well, that carrier has a breach of contract with you for non-payment. Did they do anything that violate any of the statutes that we have, or any of the things that we have in place for the FMCSA, anything with compliance and vehicle maintenance and stuff like that? But as far as filing and then you can go to their insurance and hope that you can say, okay, in Mr. Insurance, this carrier didn't pay me. You're filing a claim against their insurance to try to recoup money for dispatching for them. Well, the insurance company is going to say, well, it has nothing to do with insurance. That has nothing to do with their liability or their cargo insurance coverage. So they didn't breach anything with us. So your only recourse would be the small claims, right? FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, deals with safety, accountability, and compliance. And then the insurance deals with cargo and liability, right? Neither one of those deals with whether a dispatcher got paid, right? So small claims. And then blacklisting the carriers, obviously, right, through different social media outlets and things like that. But it's sad, it shouldn't have to come to anything like that. As long as you're finding good loads and good freight for the carriers, then if I was a carrier, if you're grossing for me 8 to 10,000 or better a week, why in my right mind would I stop that by not paying you, right? So can you safely say if a carrier has a factoring company, there should not be any payment issues? Can I safely say, I can't safely say it, but I can closely safely say that if they have a factoring company, I can closely say that, right? But not all the way. Because the factoring company's job is to provide a service to their customers. So when you're onboarding, let's go back a little bit, let's review. When you're onboarding, as far as the credit application and the notice of assignment to the broker, all at one time. So it's not sent at one time, because the notice of assignment cannot be sent to a broker until the credit application comes back favorable. So, right, so that's how that works. A notice of assignment cannot be sent back to them until everything. So it's first the credit application. You have to run a credit check on that broker. You have to make sure that the broker is favorable. And then the notice of assignment, and this is the factory company doing that. And then the notice of assignment, okay? So now Kenny says this means dispatchers don't have any union that represents them. That would be great, Kenny. Maybe you could be the catalyst for that, starting a dispatchers union, right? They're basically at the mercy of brokers, carriers, et cetera. So it's a matter of making sure you get them. And if you lose them, that's because the process is rigorous, okay? So, yeah, so how would you, let's entertain that for a second. What would a union for dispatchers look like in an industry that thinks dispatchers are glorified brokers, right? How would you form a union in an industry who's governed by the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and DOT, Department of Transportation, who, for lack of a better word, looks at dispatchers as the low end of the totem pole. So the narrative for dispatchers is we're glorified brokers. We're trying to act as brokers. When I train dispatchers that I train to not behave as brokers. What do I mean by behaving as brokers? Dispatchers do not try to post loads on load boards. That's what brokers do, right? There's things that dispatchers should not be doing. Otherwise, it'll give them the appearance of acting as brokers, okay? Donna made a good point. It seems like you need to be an affiliate of the carrier's factory company, or not only the carrier's factory company, but you need to be an affiliate of your own factory company. So 7 Oaks, right? Monica's 7 Oaks, which is in our portal here, allows dispatchers to come in this way. This is how Monica works. This is how 7 Oaks work. And I'm copying and putting this for you guys to get affiliated with Monica. If you get set up as an affiliate, as a dispatching company affiliate of 7 Oaks through Monica, right? If you have a carrier that you're dispatching for who does not have factoring yet, and they're looking for that service, right? You can get them communicated with Monica. Monica can start the process of getting them the application to applying for 7 Oaks Capital factoring. If they get factoring, if they get approved by 7 Oaks, you, the person, the affiliate, the dispatching company or the affiliate who brought that carrier to 7 Oaks to get approved, you're going to get a commission for that or a kickback for that, right? That's number one. A referral, that's what they call it, a referral, okay? In addition to that, because you brought your carrier to 7 Oaks to get factoring, right? Every invoice that carrier factors with 7 Oaks, 7 Oaks will pay you whatever percentage or flat fee that's due to you for that service as well, okay? That's the relationship that 7 Oaks offers.
Even if you don't book the load?
Even if you don't book the load. I remember Monica coming on here saying that if it's your carrier, let me make sure I don't say that incorrectly. So if you don't book the load, I'm not sure, but I know if you do book the load and the carrier, it can't be even if you don't book the load because you wasn't involved in that process. But if there are right,
I thought the question was sorry.
Yeah, if there are loads that you were involved in booking for that carrier, then obviously you should get paid for that because you're the dispatcher. But if you don't book the loads, and then you didn't have no service involved in that, so you shouldn't be compensated for that. But you brought the carrier in, so you get paid for doing that. And then every load that you book for that carrier and it gets factored through 7 Oaks, then you are compensated for that. Okay. So,
Mr. Charles, is there a link that when we send to our carriers for 7 Oaks for them to realize that it's actually us that's sending them to them? Like
yes. So when you become an affiliate of 7 Oaks, they're going to take your information right? And then when you get a carrier to get approved for factoring in Seven Oaks, to get approved for factoring, the carrier is going to get an application from Seven Oaks. They're going to fill it out. Part of that process of filling it out, they're going to ask them, hey, do you have a dispatcher? Okay, they're going to say yes or no. What do you just say yes? Okay, what's the name of the company? Yada yada yada. And then they're going to say, okay, does your dispatcher charge you a percentage or a flat fee? Percentage. Okay. Then they're going to say, what is that? 10%. All right. So now they got your data, the dispatcher that's affiliated with this carrier that just got approved for a factory, right? So now when your carrier submits an invoice after delivery to be paid through Seven Oaks, the factoring company, Seven Oaks is going to contact you. Hey, your carrier just booked the load. We're about to pay him. We need you to fill out this form so we can know where to send your money, your portion of the payment to. And they're going to say, okay, fill out your name, first and last name, email, address, and then they may ask for your financial information as far as like your routing number and account number, who to send, where to wire the money to, or if you don't want it, they'll send you a paper check. Okay, so it's a system that's in place that does that. Okay, but they've been doing it for 25 years, so I'm sure they over that time frame they've gotten the process down to a science at this point. Yes, someone.
Yeah, that was me, Adam. So I guess it's only I guess you're only an affiliate when you are in on the business transaction. You see what I mean? Like just say like if my brother started a trucking business and he already had his dispatcher, then there wouldn't be any reason for me to try to offer Seven Oaks business to him because I'm not going to get anything. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, does your brother have factory?
No, just say he did not have factoring.
And then you brought factory to him through Seven Oaks.
I brought Seven Oaks to him or vice versa, but I'm not his dispatcher.
Okay, so carriers can have more than one dispatchers. And so yes, you can. If you brought the factory company to them and they got another dispatcher, but you booked the load with your brothers or your brother's company, and they deliver that load and submit it for invoice paying through the factory, yes, you get paid for that because you're involved in that. You're the dispatcher that gets paid. Even though he has another dispatcher, but he didn't book a load with that dispatcher. He booked a load with you, and you brought him Seven Oaks, and you're an affiliate with Seven Oaks. So yes.
Well, see but that's what I'm saying. So basically, what you're saying is that the affiliate part of the business only comes in when you are booking a load for that carrier, and then you bring Seven Oaks to that carrier. So you couldn't just offer Seven Oaks service to a random carrier because you wouldn't get any money for it. Do you feel what I'm saying? Why
wouldn't you?
Because you're not dispatching for that person.
If you brought that, so if you brought that carrier to Seven Oaks and you're not dispatching for them.
Yeah, just hey Charles, just say like if I went to a trucking, like just like a truck stop or whatever, and I'm trying to sell my dispatching service to truckers or whatever, and you know, just like how you have the videos, how you're talking to carriers and stuff like that. Just say like if you got into a conversation with somebody and you know they didn't want your services, but you noticed that they mentioned that they didn't have a factoring company and they were looking for one.
Right.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't give them the information, just being a nice person, like morally, you know what I'm saying? Like just like a good moral to go by, you know what I'm saying? Just to help them out. But
right. So the only thing you would get,
when it comes to the money, I wouldn't get anything.
No, you would get only the referral for referring them to Seven Oaks. You'll get paid for that up front.
Okay.
But you won't get paid when they turn in invoices because you're not their dispatcher and you didn't book that load for them. You are correct. But you will get a referral. So you can bring carriers in who don't have factoring and not being their dispatcher and get and create an income just off referrals.
That was my question. Okay. I was going around the world, but sorry about that. But
no, that's fine. That's fine because it circles back to this. But then if you brought a carrier to a factoring company who's starting to get good rates for factoring, they'll be like, okay, well, gee, you brought me this good factory company. Maybe I should give you an opportunity to be my dispatcher if you brought me this type of service. Right?
Right.
So, okay. But it's great that we're talking about factoring. It's great we're talking about credit scores of brokers and the process of that, because at some point, when you get a carrier, right? When you get a carrier and when you're starting to dispatch for them, these little intricacies and nuances are going to occur. And you need to be familiar with them. Right? So it's good to know all the bells and whistles of them. But great questions. I like the question. I love these questions. I love Saturday trainings. For me, let's see this. I'm scrolling back up to the questions. For me, as a dispatcher, it's vital to negotiate a higher load payment for the carriers to be sure we both are paid. Of course, that's for any dispatcher, Miss Color or Lakeisha. Yeah, you want to negotiate. You want to get the best rate. You want to include your percentage or flat fee in on top of the rate that you're asking the broker for. Okay. So it's always good to get the best rate. So for example, and let's use nice solid numbers, right? So the broker, you booked a load with a for your carrier with the broker, $3,000. You charge 7% or 5%, right? Not 5%, 10%. Let's do a nice round number. 10% of, what did I say, 3,000? 10% of 3,000 is what? Somebody do the math for me. Do the mathematicals. 300, very easy, right? Just move the decimal place over. So now when you go to talk to the broker, what do you want to do as a dispatcher? You want to include your rate, your 300 on top of the 33. I mean, I'm sorry, the 3,000, right? So what is your threshold? So I want to throw some this is Saturday. So this is kind of like, it's not beginners, but it's not advanced either. So what's the threshold of that relationship? The 3,000 for the carrier and the 300 for the broker. So what's your threshold?
3,300.
3,300. So because it's what the carrier gets paid, the 3,000 plus your rate of that 3,000, your 7% or 10% on top of that. So 300. So 3,000 plus 300 is 3,300. So now what a threshold means, for those who don't know, is the number you can't be below when you're trying to get a rate from the broker, when you're calling them back trying to book this load. So what number, you got your threshold at 3,300, what number are you going to give the broker to try to get a good rate for your carrier? 35, okay.
Right.
35. So you want to have a number in such a way that you don't outbid yourself when the broker turns you down and refuses it. So I'll say anywhere between 2 to 250 above the threshold, right? Is that a fair? So 35.
We forgot about the dispatching fee.
No, we didn't.
We don't figure that into the threshold.
We did. So let's go back. So stay unmuted, Vancia.
Okay.
So we found a load for $3,000, right?
Uh-huh.
We said our dispatching fee was 10%.
And that was a 300.
That was a 300. So now what is the threshold? How do you figure out your threshold?
I would go 35.
Okay, so now, so your threshold is, how much is your threshold?
The threshold is 3,300.
There you go. So I just want to make sure you understood.
Yes.
Okay. And
I wasn't paying attention.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So your threshold is 35. So when you talk to the broker, you say, the broker says, so you say, I'm the broker, you call me about this loan. Hey, Charles at Charles Brokerage, whatever I call myself, right? I'm looking at this dry land van load coming out of Charlotte going to Jacksonville, Tallahassee, picking up on Monday, delivering Wednesday, whatever, right? Is that load still available? I'm gonna say, yeah, it's still available. What's your MC number? You're gonna, whose MC number should you give?
The carriers.
Why?
Because that's who I'm booking the load for. That shows that he's authorized to move all over the U.S.
Oh, okay, very good. I mean, I gotta ask the question, right? I gotta make sure. As an instructor, I have to make sure that my dispatchers understand what they're actually doing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's my job. You guys paid me to do this, so I'm doing my job, right? So And there's another reason too, because dispatchers don't have MC numbers. Very good, Jennifer. Jennifer just said it. Dispatchers don't have MC numbers. So that's the number one reason is because yes, the motor carrier's MC it gives them authorization to transport the freight. And number two, MCs
Are
don't
not
have,
given to dispatchers.
right. So now I check my system to see that the MC number of the broker is already in my system, which means that they are already an approved carrier for my brokerage. So I don't have to, so you don't have to go through that whole broker carrier agreement, sending over your MC authority letter and all the other crap, right? We'll just go ahead. Now we're going to start discussing rate confirmation and numbers. We're going to start discussing that. So now you're going to say, hey, this load is posted, Miss Vancia Williams Dispatching Services. We got this rate posted for $3,000. Can your carrier do that?
No.
What are you looking for out of this?
I'm looking for at least, if I can't get the 35, at least the 33.
Okay. So I'm a broker now. I'm telling you, okay, so this load is a load of general freight. It's in a dry van. It has 3 stops. So you pick it up in Charlotte. You're gonna hit Rock Hill, South Carolina. You're gonna go over to Atlanta, and then you're gonna finally end up in Jacksonville.
Okay. So now we got 2 drops. Okay.
Okay. Wow. So what does that mean? From a
we gotta get some more money.
Exactly. So that's from a dispatcher's perspective. What does that mean? Yeah. Right. So, what am I sharing? I'm sharing. Okay. I'm sharing my screen, but I'm not on a low board. So I'm not actually on a real low board. I'm just discussing it right now. But I will share the low board screen. Okay. I'm not on a low board though. So now that the broker just told you, because now the broker gave you clues as for you to leverage the fact to ask for more money, right? He said it's multiple stops. There's some extra stops on that load. It picks up in Charlotte. There's a drop in Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is 77 South, right? Or 85 or 285 South or 77 South. And then there's another one in Atlanta, and then the final stop is in Tallahassee, or I said Jacksonville, I'm sorry. And so, since that's the case, now what can you do? Because since you have extra stops, there's potential for extra delays, detention, maybe accidents.
Accessorial fees.
So what does that mean? What you just threw a term out there that maybe someone doesn't understand. You said accessorials, right? Accessorials are things that can potentially give more money to the carrier and ultimately the dispatcher outside of what the normal line haul rate pays. Okay, which is like detention, layover, lumper. So let's break those down. What are accessorials? Accessorials are extra fees paid for extra services in addition to what the carrier normally does when they pick a load up and deliver it outside of that. So when the carrier gets to a facility and picks up or delivers, there's a chance that they can be there longer than they need to be, longer to load and offload, which is called detention, right? So where is accessorials on our website, right? Where is that under? So let's go under forms and documents or tools and resources. Let's look under tools and resources so you can see what accessorials are. Okay, let's go back. Forms and documents. Right here, under miscellaneous documents, under the forms and documents, accessorial policy. You click this PDF, it'll give you a brief overview of some of the accessorials, right? So if a driver is shipping at a FCFS, what is FCFS? What does that stand for? That's an acronym. What does that stand for?
First come, first serve.
First come, first serve. Those are usually 24-hour shipper and receivers. First come, first serve. In other words, if there's a line there, whoever gets there first gets in first, right?
Like
first
Amazon.
First come, first serve. You see long lines, waiting in line, and all that other stuff. Okay, so and arrives with a time frame, they will apply whoever gets there first, right? So detention. Here's this, and this is just a sample detention. This is not This is not the end all be all. This is just a template and a sample for you guys to get an idea. So detention for dry freight or in a dry van, $50 an hour after the first 2 hours, and then up to $250 a day. So basically $50 an hour for up to 5 hours. 5 times 50, 250, right? Because they don't anticipate a carrier sitting there for 7 hours. The first 2 hours being free, and then the extra 5 hours at $50 an hour. That's what this line means, right? So because in the accessorials, the first 2 hours or the first 3 hours is free, according to the broker carrier agreement or according to the rate confirmation that the broker puts on their rate confirmation, okay? And then for frozen, so frozen and fresh produce and meat, those goes, what equipment type does the frozen or the second line and the third option, produce and fresh meat go on? What equipment type do they go on?
Reefers.
Reefers, exactly. So the dry gives it away, dry van, right? And then the last one, flatbeds, it says it, flatbed. So the next two, the second and the third one, $75 an hour for the first 2 hours. So obviously this example is their detention kicks in after the first 2 hours, the first 2 free hours. So your truck driver gets there and they got 2 hours of free time to give them enough time to offload that trailer, depending on how much freight is on there, whether it's double stacked or whatever, right? After that, it's, in the case of a reefer, it's $75 in this sample. Again, this is not the Bible, but this is just an example, right? So $75 for 250 up to 250, right, a day. So, and then the flatbed is $75 an hour after the first 2 hours, and then up to 250 a day, right? So that's detention, when you're sitting there longer than what you need to be, waiting to get offloaded. And detention starts from the moment you check in at the security gate. It doesn't start when the truck driver docks their trailer at the loading dock. Keep that in mind. Most brokers will try to trick you and say, hey, well, our detention starts once your carrier gets on the loading dock. No, it doesn't. Mine start when my carrier checks in and indicates that he's arrived at the facility to get offloaded. So my carrier got to the security gate and say, hey, I just arrived from Charlotte, well, literally from Atlanta, because that was my last, from Atlanta to Jacksonville on that 3-leg load, right? He checks in at the security gate. Hey, I'm here at 0900 or whatever time it is, and go from there. Yes, Vancia, you got a question?
Yes, so this is just common knowledge and averages, because which one of the agreements have this information on? Or this is just common industry knowledge that we know and the brokers know that we're going to ask for this if these situations take place?
So in most cases, the broker is going to put it in their rate confirmation, and if they don't, then if you're under a load that has the potential to have detention and any type of accessorials,
I bring it up.
You bring it up. Hey, what's your accessorial policy like for detention? Or what's your accessorial policy like for layover or tonu or lumper, okay, you know, or stuff like that, which is what we're going into next, right? Because you're trying to get your carrier the most money possible in the current situation they're in. So if they're under a load that's going to warrant any type of accessorial, whether it's detention, whether it's layover, whether it's tonu, whether it's lumper, then you want to squeeze as much blood out of that turnip from that broker as possible, because you want to give your carrier the best service from a dispatcher's perspective as possible. Okay?
And we have to do this before the fact, not after.
Well, prior to signing that rate confirmation and getting it back to the broker, okay, you want to cover these bases.
Okay.
And you don't sign that rate confirmation. If they say, well, we don't offer accessorials, then you get with your carrier and say, hey, they're not offering accessorials. I notice we're under a load that has the potential for accessorials to happen. Then your carrier would decide, because ultimately it's your carrier's decision whether they take a load. Now you, as a dispatcher, you're providing them the best service. And if they decide to opt out of that service, that's on them. Right.
Okay. Now I have one more question. I wanted to ask when we was talking about it. For some reason, I'm afraid to dispatch reefers. I kind of fear that if I dispatch a reefer and they have like temperature problems and the everything goes bad or something, that's gonna make me look bad.
So say that again. I want everybody to hear that before I answer it. Say that again.
I was saying that I'm afraid to dispatch for reefers because a lot of things could go wrong with the container as far as temperature changes. And if everything goes bad, that broker could make me look bad because my carrier didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Right. So, but that's not on you. You dispatch to the best of your ability. What the carrier does is on the carrier. Right? You dispatched a load for the reefer load. The carrier didn't follow the requirements of that. That's not your fault.
Okay. I would say it is. I mean, but no, it's not. But as a broker, I would be like, oh no.
Right. Right. So you're dispatching for a carrier on a reefer load that they didn't follow the rules of the load correctly. So that's
I guess it depends on the broker, because they could look at it like that, or they could be like, okay, well, we're not going to do business with that carrier no more and still do business with me. I guess it's a judgment call.
Well, it's ultimately a judgment call of the broker, but as long as you follow the rules of dispatching and you get the best load for your carrier, but the carrier doesn't like listen to the rate confirmations in the sense of, let's say the broker tells you that this load should be a certain temperature continuous while it's being transported to and from the shipping facility to the receiving facility. And when your carrier gets there to pick up a load, it doesn't have the right temperature, right? 0 degrees, -4 degrees, or whatever, right? Then they're gonna, well, number one, they're gonna tell him to get off our dock, go get this up to the right temperature before you come back, because when they open that reefer unit up, and LaDonna can speak on this because she's a reefer carrier, it has to be at that temperature before that freight gets loaded, right? So, but yeah, don't be afraid. Do not be afraid to dispatch for reefers. Reefers are the most, of the 3 equipment types, they have the most risk for claims and things of that nature. So.
I just have to develop good rapport with my brokers then. Well, you got to do that anyway, but yeah.
Yeah. So let me see, someone, Straight Runner Logistics has a question. Let's see what they may want to add to that.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing, because let's just say you booked a load for your driver. Now, when you do book that, the broker does ask you, are you a dispatcher? And then you give them your name so they can also CC you with the email. If that broker, if that carrier didn't make it or something happened, how does that affect the actual dispatcher? Because, you know, they might look at the dispatcher like we're not doing something correctly. Or is it like where if we have multiple carriers, I mean, I don't know if that broker is still gonna look like, would still kind of judge us or put us on a blacklist. Is there a blacklist for like dispatchers too?
There's not a blacklist for dispatchers. There is a DNU list for carriers by brokers, where a do not use list based off of the behavior of the carrier. Things that the carrier does that's not favorable in the eyes of the broker, right? But it's not a reflection of the carrier assistant or the logistics manager of the carrier, right? Not necessarily dispatcher. You can use other terms, but it all falls on the carrier because the agreement is between the broker and the carrier. Okay. So the DNU, Delta Nancy United, DNU list. That's something internal with brokerages. So freight brokers have a DNU list, do not use, where if they get negative behavior from carriers and it negatively affects their broker. Let's say a carrier drops off on the load. They book a load, you book a load for your carrier, and then they turn around and call you you sign the rate confirmation or sends it to the broker, so the load is officially booked. And then all of a sudden the carrier calls you and say, hey, I don't want this load no more. I'm going to cancel. Find me another load. I don't want it. And so now you got to call the broker back and say, my carrier doesn't want this load. He's found something else, right? So now the broker is scrambling to find a carrier, an asset to replace this load that your carrier booked. Because when you tell a broker you booked the load, the broker calls the shipper and says, hey, I got a truck for this load. So now they release that tender and they create that rate confirmation and get all this stuff set up, right? Now he has to go through that process again, scrambling, because now the shipper is expecting a truck at that facility to pick that load up. But if your carrier cancels that, now that it has that broker scrambling now to find another asset, another truck. So what do you think that broker's going to think? What do you think that broker is going to think about that carrier? That carrier just played them, right? For whatever reason. And this could be the very first relationship that your carrier had with this broker. Or for whatever reason, your carrier decided to cancel this load for whatever. And it could have been a valid reason, or it could have been an invalid reason. It could have been an emergency with the family, or it could have been something else, right? So, but these are things.
You could also, to be proactive, if your if your carrier says, I don't want this load, and you may know of another carrier, you may contact that carrier in advance of calling the broker and say, well, my one carrier decided he can't take this load, but I do have another one to replace him. Is that a good thing to do?
That's a great thing to do, because now you're helping the broker out. And now that gives you, as a dispatcher, leverage with this broker when you're trying to negotiate more money, more better rates, because you just helped me out. You helped me out on this last load with another carrier that I would have been scrambling, or I would have looked bad in front of my shipper. But since you helped me out, I'll go ahead and give you an extra $100 or $200 for that, because you helped me out. You did me a favor. So I'm gonna do you a favor by negotiating, by giving you more money. So yeah. Okay. So this is the accessorial policy. We talked about detention. Other accessorials is layover. On average is about $150 to $250 a day. Layover is if you're at a facility and they're getting ready to close and you don't have enough time to be loaded or offloaded, they're going to tell you to come back, right? So your carrier will go to a local truck stop near that facility to hold that freight to be loaded or to be offloaded, or to wait to be loaded. So then you got TONU. TONU is an acronym. Can anybody tell me what TONU stands for? T-O-N-U.
Truck ordered, not used.
Truck ordered, not used. What that means is you book a load with your broker, right? And your truck is on the way to deliver the load, okay? And the broker calls and says, okay, that shipment got canceled. Our shipper said we need to schedule it for another day. The facility is not ready to ship that shipment out. We're going to schedule it for another day. We canceled in this load. So now they got to pay you for, or pay your carrier, I should say, for that process of canceling that load. And its standard is $150. It may have changed. And this is an old example, old template. But yeah.
Okay, so question. When that happens with the TONU, we're not going to get paid, right? Because no run was made.
Correct. So, and what I usually say with TONU, with any accessorials, that for me, when I was dispatching, that money went to the carrier as a show of good faith in my dispatching service. So whether it's TONU, detention, anything like that, that money went to the
Carrier.
The carrier, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So as a show of good service. And then redelivery charge, redelivery charges, like if a load gets canceled, let's take it back to the ship. Like let's say your carrier went to a receiver to deliver a load, but it got rejected. So you call the broker calls the shipper and say, okay, well, let's bring it back. Well, the truck driver say, I'm not bringing it back. I got paid only to deliver. You got to pay me to drive this 800 miles to take your freight back to your shipping facility. Redelivery charge. Okay, well, we'll give you that, whatever that is. So, and then The last one is unloading. Unloading is the same thing as lumper. Loading and unloading. Lumper, L-U-M-P as in Paul, E-R, lumper. Okay, where shipping facilities and receiving facilities have workers on forklifts in those warehouses loading and offloading trucks. Sometimes those facilities charge for that service. That is called lumper, or loading and unloading charges. And sometimes it's included, other times it is not. Okay. So these are called accessorials. These are extra charges, extra fees, extra monies that can be paid to the carrier in addition to what they are normally due for the line haul rate of loads. Accessorials, okay? So I'm glad we went through this a little bit more thoroughly so you guys can kind of get a concept of that. Josh said, every time we call a broker, we are introducing ourselves as a dispatcher or logistics manager of the carrier's LLC name. That is correct. We never use our LLC. No, it'll be, not saying that you can't, but it would be better to use the carrier's name. Okay. It'd be better to use the carrier's name, carrier's company, because you're a logistics manager for the trucking company or a dispatcher for the trucking company, right?
So Charles,
Yes.
when do you get your own business name out there, or is that even?
Your own business name is out there when you are soliciting to the carriers to dispatch for them as a dispatching company, right?
Got you.
And LaDonna just made a good point too. Some brokers honestly don't even care. As long as they have if you got a carrier for me, you can be the dispatcher for them, the independent dispatcher for them, or the logistics manager, right?
Okay.
So right here, they just call us a dispatcher and move on about booking the load. So. Okay. Great questions, great questions. Let's see, I'll scroll back up. Okay. All right, so accessorials, we covered that. Good, good. We covered the credit application with the factoring. We covered the NOA with the factoring. Hopefully you guys got a little bit more clearer understanding. We covered the broker carrier agreement with the between the carrier and the broker when you're first onboarding and getting the carrier set up with the brokerage. That is the broker carrier. If that carrier is not an approved carrier and already onboarded and set up with that brokerage, then you have to do the broker carrier. That's step one, broker carrier agreement. And then you fill that out, and then you also send in the carrier's documents, the supporting documents of the carrier, so that the broker can vet them out. What are the carrier's supporting documents that you send in?
The W-9, the certificate of insurance,
MC authority.
MC authority.
Thank you.
MC authority, right. And then the credit application, if they have a factoring company. Someone just said go over the certificate of insurance. So the first one, the MC authority letter, right? So every carrier, when you're onboarding and getting them set up with a brokerage, this is document number one. This is the most important document, because if the carrier doesn't have the authority or the authorization to transport freight, then this conversation is over from the broker's perspective, right? Why would I broker a load to you when you as a carrier doesn't have the authority to transport, right? You don't have a certificate, an MC authority certificate or MC authority letter. That's supporting document number one. Supporting document number two is what Donna wanted to go over, the certificate of insurance. So is there a specific question on the certificate of insurance, Donna, that you wanted to ask?
Not really, not a specific question, but the purpose for that broker to want to add, to be a part of it, just a better understanding, something like that.
Okay, cool. So the certificate insurance, number one, the reason why the brokers need this. So all these supporting documents the brokers are using to vet the carrier, okay? The certificate of insurance specifically is they need to see that the carrier has enough coverage, insurance coverage, to cover what they are transporting as carriers. So whatever in that trailer, they need to have the coverage for that. So the most common types of coverage on the policy for the certificate of insurance is cargo and liability, okay? Cargo, the minimum requirement usually for the cargo coverage is 100,000. The minimum coverage for the liability is 1 million, okay? So that is the coverages. Now, Donna mentioned some, I don't say most, but some brokers want to be listed as a certificate holder. So when you, the dispatcher, are onboarding your carrier to a brokerage and you're sending in the information, most brokers are going to say, hey, when you send in a certificate of insurance, can you list us, our brokerage, as a certificate holder on the certificate of insurance? Okay, not a problem. Here's box number 7, certificate holder, right? What it does is when you're going to call the agent on the certificate of insurance and say, hey, Jane or John at Progressive Commercial or whatever, I need a certificate of insurance listing the following brokerage as a certificate holder. What they're going to do is they may put you on hold. They may call the number that's associated with the policy, which is the carrier, to verify that you are who you say you are, because they're just not going to give it to you without verifying it, right? Because they get a lot of calls like this all the time. The next thing they're going to ask you for is the name of the brokerage, the street address, city, state, and zip, right? And then they're going to put that in this box here where it says certificate holder. And then they're going to ask you, who do I fax or email this to, right? So as a dispatcher sending a certificate holder to a broker, right? You want them to send it directly to the broker's email, but CC you on that, because it looks more professional to have a certificate holder, certificate of insurance, sent directly from a insurance company directly to the broker who needs it, than it would send it from a dispatcher to sending it from an insurance company to the dispatcher, and then the dispatcher sending it to the broker. I would rather you have it sent directly from the insurance agent to the broker, and with you being CC'd on that process, okay? The purpose of the certificate holder, brokers want to be listed on the certificate holder for claims purposes. So if something goes down and there's a claim filed against the carrier's insurance, it covers the broker side first. I'm sorry, it covers the carrier side first, the carrier's insurance first, before it goes after the broker's insurance coverage. So all of the coverage from the carrier's insurance is exhausted depending on the value of the claim before they go after the broker, okay? While that carrier is under that brokered load, okay? So hopefully that cleared that up. Dispatcher is responsible for sending what documents to brokers, if any? So if you're onboarding your carrier to a broker, you're responsible for sending the MC authority letter, the certificate of insurance, the W-9, let me bring that up, right? And if your carrier has a factory company, of course, the credit application. And this is part of the reason why you, as a dispatcher, when you first get under a dispatcher agreement, why you as a dispatcher ask for copies of these documents so that you can have them in your possession at the very beginning for each and every carrier that you're going to be dispatching for. And that was for Danielle who asked that question. Okay. So those are the documents. Those are the supporting documents. Brokers need these documents to vet the carrier in order to approve them for their brokerage so they can run a load. You only need to be approved for the broker one time. You only need to be approved. You only need to get approved for the brokerage one time. Okay. But when you book loads for that one-time approved broker, you need various rate confirmations according to how many loads you're booking with that broker. So each load you book, you need the rate confirmations, but you only need to be approved through this process one time. Okay. So the broker would know if a carrier is set up by the MC. Yes. So brokers have their systems. They have a TMS systems and they have a list of all the approved carriers, Waukesha, in their system. So all they got to do is do a search for your carrier's MC number in their system to see if it shows up as approved or not. And if it's not in their system, they're going to say, hey, your carrier is not approved with us for the brokerage. You have to fill out the onboarding process. You have to go through the onboarding process, either in paper form, or they may send you a link to a website to do an onboarding process. Most brokers are now starting to do onboarding with My Carrier packets, Assure Assist, or what's called RMIS, Registered Monitoring Insurance Service. Those are some of the main onboarding processes. Okay. Good questions though. So the broker would know if the carrier is set up with the MC. That's a good question. All right. Any other questions? Very good questions. I like these questions. No more questions? What? It's a lot of information to digest.
Charles,
Yes. How do you pronounce your name?
I go by EK.
EK. Okay. Thank you, because I'll be all day trying to.
So one of my question is, if you were to have a trucking business before and you want to add dispatch service, do you still gonna use the business name, or you need to form up another name for dispatch service?
I would recommend forming it under another name.
Okay.
But what's the name of the trucking business?
Genroca Delivery LLC.
Yeah, I would put another name. I would make it separate.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely make it separate. Keep them separate.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Damien, question.
Yes. Hi, Charles. Morning to you.
Hey, how are you?
Not bad. I wanted to ask if you're affiliated with any company or person that does back office type of work, or somewhere that would set up everything, kind of like a website, paperwork, logo, stuff like that.
Yeah, we are gradually building that through Exodus University.
I have friends that do it, but they're very busy,
Right. Understood.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you say
understood.
that's coming soon in Exodus University?
Yeah, coming soon. Well, we have some people you can look up now. So web design is my web team, the Wix team. You could go on a website and do that. LaDonna just put, she says, we have a bunch of us here: Rodney, Bridget, LaDonna, Sky. So yeah, we have contacts here. I would put the feelers out on the Facebook group.
Okay.
right? On the Facebook group, saying that the services you need, like you need the web design, you need the logos, you need the back end support, stuff like that. And then, you know, we can reach out to, okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, we have Haja.
Yes, Charles. Morning.
How are you?
Good. I'm asking the same question maybe, but what about if you like? I mean, can your dispatcher be the same business as your broker business?
So I would, for security and for liability and financial reasons, I would highly recommend to keep them separate. Because if you got them under the same entity, you get sued, then everything comes crashing down. Like if you got a freight brokerage and you would do a DBA under that, it's under the same entity.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Aretha.
Hi, everybody. I have a box truck question, Charles.
Oh Lord! Oh, training
I know.
Training's over. Training is over.
No, just real quick. I'm just starting out, and I have a friend who, has everything or whatever, but they got a box truck, so we're trying to see if we could figure out something. And I'm just, point me in some kind of direction.
Okay, I'll give you some information here. Okay, so for a box truck, so where are you located? Where's the truck located? I should say.
In Florida.
Okay, in Florida. What is it? North Florida, Central Florida, Southern Florida?
It's by the villages, so that's like.
So
not exactly South Florida.
Okay, so like Tampa, Orlando?
Yes, around that area.
Okay. So is it a 26-foot box truck?
Yes.
CDL, non-CDL?
CDL.
Okay. I would recommend try to do some LTL work, less than truckload work, try to get some local contracts with local companies in the area that requires that you can put loads in the box truck. I wouldn't chase freight on a load board for a box truck unless you got some relationships with some brokers already. And also, if you do decide to go the broker route or the load board route, I would recommend 2 load boards. One of them is pretty expensive and has some stringent requirements. It's called Selectus, okay? And I'll put that in the chat here, SYLECTUS. And the other one is called My Virtual Fleet. So if you look those two up, if you Google those two, then you can look them up and go for that. Now, both of those are bid type of load boards. You bid on them, okay? And you may have 2 trucking companies bidding on the same load. The way you win the bid, of course, is time availability. So if you got one truck, you both put the same bid amount in, and they accepted it, $500 for 20 miles or whatever, right? The person who wins, the truck that wins the bid is the one who's closest to pick that load up. So you may have one who's 15 minutes away, you may have one that's 2 hours away. Then, of course, the one who's 15 minutes away is going to win it.
Win it, right?
Right. So, but that's what I recommend there. Okay.
I greatly appreciate that.
All right, no problem. All right, I'll do one more questions and then we'll go ahead and wind it down here. Very good questions.
Mr. Charles.
LaQuisha, how are you? Am I pronouncing that correct?
I'm good. Yes, you always pronounce my name correctly. I meant to tell you that too. I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay.
Okay, so my question is similar to Aretha's. I have my CDL But I'm not using it at this moment, but I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. And I'm with the dispatching, and I love the way that everything is presented, and you can take that and use it anywhere. But as far as trucking, I want to see if I need to drive or if I don't need to drive. I really don't want to, but I don't mind if I have to. But I'm in the same boat as her. Like my uncle, he has a box truck and it's a 24-inch. And I'm trying to figure out something quick, fast, and hurry to make some money so that I could transition into something further down the line. So as for the LTL is the box trucks, and my uncle is in Florida as well. I really don't know what to do in my predicament.
Okay, so let's start from
Go
the
ahead.
top. Let's start from the top.
Mhm.
You said you have a CDL, or
it's a B.
Class B. Did you say you had an authority too, an operating authority, or no?
No.
Okay. So you have a Class B. You have a 24-foot, not inch, but 24-foot box truck, right?
And it doesn't have a lift.
It doesn't have
no lift.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So no
I know.
hydraulic lift. So when you do,
No.
if you decide to do loads with that box truck, then you're gonna have to be it's gonna have to be dock high. You're gonna have to go to loading docks that are dock high all the time. You can't use since you don't have a lift gate, you can't lower and raise the lift gate to offload the freight to the ground and charge more for that. You have to pick up and delivery to and from dock high facilities, unless they come out there with a forklift and you got a pallet jack in the truck so you can bring the pallets to the tail of the truck and they can grab it like that too, right?
Okay.
But yeah, wow. What's up with these box trucks these days? I'll get them going. But
I think that's like the quickest thing. Everybody is trying to flip that and make money to transition. And that's what I was looking at, because I'm trying to figure out, like, and for the box trucks, do you need a CD? I mean, not a CDL, but do you need an authority for the box trucks?
Yeah, you have
an
to
MC
have
number?
Yeah, you have to have the MC
Okay.
DOT number, operating authority, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because my uncle, the way he was trying to tell me, I didn't know what he was talking about. I was like, no, I kept trying to tell him, Uncle, you need an MC number.
You have to,
Yeah,
in order to pick up loads in order to contract with companies to get paid from, you have to have an authority to operate in order to do that. You're going to be in a contract with businesses and companies like direct shippers and customers or brokers in order to get paid. So you have to have an authority to do so, whether you're going to do it intrastate, just in your state, that'll be a DOT, or unless you cross the state lines with an MC and a DOT. So the type of authority. So.
Okay. Another question, and I know it might sound dumb, but how are people renting the rentals like from Enterprise and everything? They can use it as they can lease that. I was just trying to figure that out. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but can you get a rent one and
so there's different ways you can
like that?
Yeah, you can get you can either outright purchase your box truck.
Mm-hmm.
You can lease purchase it. You can lease it under Ryder, Enterprise, and I forget the other one. And who's the other one? Penske. Penske. Yeah. Penske, Ryder, and Enterprise. You can pay them, run under them, and then pay them a weekly settlement, and they'll give you deals on the miles and all that stuff, like 20 cents a mile or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can finance it through a finance company, a bank, or whatever. So it depends on how you want to come into the industry as far as the box truck. But whichever way you come into it, the important thing is to remember is you're going to entertain box trucks. Before you even get involved with that, you want to make sure you position yourself in an area where you can move freight with your box truck. So I wouldn't get involved I would do my homework prior to getting the box truck to make sure where I'm going to run that truck, unless I want to drive to that location. I may not live in an area where box trucks are prevalent, but I'm sure willing to drive to the area to start moving and making money for that truck. And I'll just stay in a hotel if that box truck doesn't have a sleeper. Most box trucks don't have a sleeper on it. So you could either do a per diem with a broker or pay for the hotel room yourself. But before you get into anything, whether it's the box trucks or the tractor trailers, the three major equipment types. You want to make sure you position yourself in areas where freight is moving or is required to be moved in that specific equipment type. If you don't do that starting out, then you're gonna be behind the 8 ball in the beginning, because you're gonna purchase this liability, right? Because this is a liability, this is an expense. So in order to turn it into an asset, you have to have freight and loads moving in such a way that you're grossing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 even a week in your box truck. Also, if you are getting into a box truck, how are you moving the freight? Are you just touching it, picking up and delivering, or are you going to have a crew of workers doing like Amazon deliveries or Home Depot deliveries or Mattress Firm deliveries or Wayfair or whatever those contracts are, where your guys are actually going into people's home and setting up stuff, even delivering it. So you get paid for that as well. So it depends on how you want to run that box truck too. Do you want to touch the freight? Do you not want to touch the freight? So these are things that you will probably need to ask yourself as a
starting out.
Starting out.
Yeah. I don't want to touch it. So is there a fee if we don't touch the freight and all that, or how does that work? Because I don't know.
If you are structuring your company as no touch freight, but then you get loads that are paying, that's a touch, it's called a driver assist, right? Driver assist. So if you're standard, you typically don't touch the freight, but if it says driver assist, then you can charge more for that. Okay. As a company, right? And they'll pay it if they want that work done. They'll pay it. So,
what's the average of the fees that they charge for that?
Well, so you have to, depends on how you structure that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you got to depends on how you structure that. So, and it depends on the volume of work, how many pallets you're moving, what's the weight of it, where it's going, the type of delivery, whether it's a basic delivery, whether it's a beyond the threshold delivery, whether it's a white glove delivery, whether it's a room of choice, debris removal. There's different types. There's different. Those are called service levels. Different service types of the types of deliveries. So what's all involved in that, and each service type has a different pay structure for it. So,
is any of this anywhere on your site? Like this?
It is not because I don't really go into grave detail about the box trucks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
But it does exist, because I did box truck deliveries for 10 years. So the reason why I know those service types and different levels of delivery on those manifests is because we did it. We set up TVs, we set up couches, we set up massage chairs and stuff like that. So we set all that stuff up. So
okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Just do your homework first on the box truck. Make sure that you go into an area of where the box trucks, you can keep that box truck loaded, and go to local facilities, go to local shippers, manufacturers with your box truck and say, hey, can we put this box truck to work? Can we put it to use?
Okay. Yeah, it was just the MC number thing that was the thing me and my uncle we were discussing with that, but I'll go back over that with him, and I'll take what you said and try to apply that so I can get up and going.
Okay. Thank you.
No, thank you.
All right. One more question. Oh no, we got 2 minutes. Okay. So this video will be this is recorded. It will be in our members portal, right? We won't put this one on YouTube, but we'll put it in our members portal for our enrolled members in order to go back and watch the recording, get all the data that's needed for you. And so that you can take this content and continue to scale and grow your companies and grow your business, right? It'll be back in our training videos library, okay? So, but thank you guys. Thank you for another great attendance for training. Hopefully I answered the question. Type of one in the chat if any of this information was helpful. I'm asking the easy information, right? Easy questions. But hopefully everything was good for you guys. And
I do have one more question, Mr. Charles.
I knew it. I knew it.
I'm sorry, but but it's okay. My question is, why does it take so long for the brokers or to pay the carriers? I was always curious of that because
well, it depends. It depends on the brokers and it depends on the broker's pay structure. Most brokers pay, what do they pay? Most of them have net 30 terms. So if it depends if your carrier has a factory company or not. If your carrier doesn't have a factory company, then they have to depend on the payment options of the broker, right? Whether it's quick pay, whether it's ACH, automated clearinghouse, that's 5 to 7 days, or whether it's a paper check. So it depends.
okay. No, I was just curious. Yeah, I was just curious because I'm like, okay, it takes this long. It takes almost 30 days just to, get the, I was just curious. That's all.
Yeah, no problem.
Because I just see that that's a problem in the industry. I'm like, well, somebody need to fix it. Let's come up with something. I don't know. Like you tell us to if the carriers are having problems, figure out something to fix it so that it benefits you. So that was my question. Like, why does it take them so long to get paid? But
yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that fixing part. But yeah. Someone asked a question about affiliate. Do I have one for the training? Do you have an affiliate referral reward, Charles? Yes, we do. We have on our website under ELLC services, affiliates and partners, or referrals. I'm sorry, we have referrals. So I'm assuming, Vancia, you're asking for if you want to refer somebody to the training, do you get a referral fee for that? Yes, you do. So if you refer them to the dispatcher single member or the 2-for-1, or if you refer them to the freight broker single member or the 2-for-1, that's how it's structured. So if you refer them to the dispatcher referral program, if they join a single member at the single member price, you get the $75 referral. If they join 2-for-1, you get a $150 referral. Okay. And my only requirement is if you refer someone, you have to fill out the referral form prior to them joining. That way I have documentation that you were the person who referred them. They can't join and you turn around and say, hey, I referred them. I can't, it doesn't work like that, right? I need to have it documented. You need to have the referral form turned in first in order for me to have documentation in order to pay you for that, okay? And that's under the dispatcher as well as the broker side. So if you do the broker side single member, you get a $150 referral, the 2-for-1, you get a $200 referral. So you can make a living off referring people, filling out the referral forms, and if they join, start a marketing campaign, just referring people to this training, and if they join, you get a referral for it.
That's why I asked.
You can refer.
Then it's you're a good. I don't have no problem referring you. You're a good instructor.
Thank you. So someone got their hand raised. Zoe got her hand raised, and I heard somebody say something. So let me get Zoe first. Zoe.
Hey, and happy Saturday, everybody.
Hello.
I just had one question about the factoring fee. I'm in the process of trying to, sway someone to be a dispatcher for them, but they don't have a factoring company, and they said that they were trying to charge them up to like 8-9% or whatnot. And I just want to know, is it like a limit on the factoring fee, or can it just go up to whatever that factoring company feels?
It's not a limit, it's not regulated, but some factory companies will charge, the ones that we deal with, between like 7 O's, they charge 2.5 or 2.25% for the first 45 days. And then so much after that, up to a cap of about 5%. So it's on average, it's between 1.5% to about 5%. So, you know, I would, if I were you,
Okay, that's not bad.
yeah, I would look at 7 Oaks. Give Monica a call.
I surely will.
And because her information is on the website, give her a call and then, you know, see what those types of questions she can answer for you. Or
Okay, I surely will.
or in the Facebook group. She's in the Facebook group as well. So okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay. All right, guys.
Hey, Charles.
Yes.
One more thing. That was me that said something. Okay,
Yeah.
so check this out, bro. So just say like if we are an affiliate of your program, the Exodus program, whatever, and we get people to come over to you, but what if we did advertising or something like that, and then like strangers like saw our little spew about Exodus, but we don't really know them? How can we fill out paperwork on a stranger? You feel what I'm saying? Could you get like,
well,
give
so
like,
if you do advertisements for that, then you would need to, you would need to put in your advertisement. If you see the advertisement and if you're interested in this program, get in contact with me, the person who advertised it, and then now you got a lead. Now you can direct them to, you know, the website to fill out, or you can go to the website now. First, have them get in contact with you, so you'll have their information, and then if they're interested in joining, you fill out the form to get their contact information, and then you'll have a record of that. You see, so there's ways around that to avoid the ambiguity of that, right? You're advertising it and getting people interested in to come into the program, and that's all well and good. That's fine, and I'm okay with that. But you want to make sure that you get compensated for that. So you want to set up things, you want to put things in place in order for you to get compensated. So if you were an advertising agency and you're trying to get people to connect with a company that you have an affiliate with, what would you do? You want to get their contact information so you have a record of who they are. So when they do join it, you can let the person know that they joined. Hey, this is the person that I recommended, so I should get paid for that. The same thing with me, with us, the company, the program, right? If you are advertising this out there, like on social media, whatever, hey, join this program. But if you're interested in this program, please provide us your contact information, and then we'll reach out to you. And then you have that conversation with that prospect. And then if they're still interested, then you, the person who's doing this, go onto the referral program, fill out the form, and that'll let us know that this person is coming a little bit later, and whether they join or not. If they join, then I'll have their information, I'll have your information, so I'll know who I should be paying. Okay?
Yeah, I feel what you're saying, but my whole thing is that if the minute we say Exodus, all they got to do is just go online and see Exodus, and they see, oh, I don't need Adam. Let me just go ahead and do it myself. I feel what you're saying.
Right, so then you don't say Exodus. What you do is say, I can connect you to a nice dispatching program. For more information, give me a call or contact me at or email me at this, and this. You leave it ambiguous until the point where you are convinced that they really want to join, and then you open up and give them the data. You see,
right?
That's how advertising is done in some instances.
Right, got you.
Yeah,
good advice. Okay, Charles, thank you.
All right, guys, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. I will have this video uploaded later today or early tomorrow for you. Great questions as always. But yeah, if you want to start that, that'd be a good referral thing. The referral program has been up here for a while. I just haven't been branding and marketing it, but it's been up here for a while for you guys to take advantage of. That's a way for you guys to generate some extra revenue. Yep. Okay. So some work from home revenue just to have it there. So, all right, guys, I will see you. Thanks, LaDonna. Thanks for all your help. And I will see you guys. Let's see, our next training. Of course, we have it every second and fourth week of each month. So our next training would be the 23rd. Today is the 15th, yeah. So it'll be 23rd, which is that Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, okay? All right, guys. Have a great weekend. You guys be safe. Go ahead.
Do we have any more cold call training?
Yes, you would get what, if you're doing it through Shantae's portal, if you're connected to her Air to Learn portal, reach out to Shantae and she will be able to give you that information, Carla. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great weekend, guys.
Thanks, you too.